Hey y'all, my name's Michael. I'm an American expat who retired early, sold everything, and moved to Thailand to live my best life. And this is Retiring to Asia, the podcast. Welcome to podcast number 1, Retiring to Asia, the podcast version.
Well, thank you, Michael. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, happy to have you. So, for those of you who are not listening or watching on YouTube, I am with Wayne today, and he is a frequent companion on the YouTube channel with his work at Condo Connection. So we do a lot of condo tours together and house tours together. And you've been kind enough to sit down for the first version of a podcast and just talk about life in Thailand for you.
Sure.
So tell me a little bit more about yourself.
All right. I am a semi-retired realtor. I have a real estate company in Toronto and a property management company in Toronto, and I've pretty much scaled that down to the fact that there's just my partner and one of my daughters that are running it. I've been in real estate for going on 42 years. And so, and a lot of people say, well, why don't you just retire? And you know what? I think if there's any realtors out there who've been in the business for more than 30 years, it's not easy to give it up because, old clients call you and say, oh, Wayne, can you list my property? And then, of course, it's not just those initial clients, but their children become your clients.
You get all those referrals.
And all of that. So, but what brings me to Thailand is the fact that part of our specialty at I Excel at Real Estate Inc., which is the name of the company that I have in Toronto, is that we used to sell pre-construction condominiums in Toronto. But we sold them in Asia. So we would do exhibitions in Hong Kong and in China and in Taiwan and Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. So I've been coming back and forth for quite some time. And and Thailand is just one of those places that I find is a little more welcoming. The people here are very friendly. They're always smiling. And it's just, I think from an expat standpoint, Thailand is good. The infrastructure, the way that they treat tourists, the weather, the beaches, the islands. There's just so much here. And so that's why currently I'm doing 6 and 6. 6 months here from about the middle of October till sometime in April, mid-April. And then I go back in. But this year I'm going to actually wind it down a little bit. I'm actually going to switch that where I'm going to be spending 10 or 11 months in Thailand and then another 1 or 2 months.
Very good. Very good. So you got to do a lot of travel throughout Asia, Southeast Asia with the work that you were doing in the condo sales and landed on Thailand. You mentioned a lot of things that you like about it here. What's your favorite thing about Thailand?
Well, I think the people are, as I said earlier, that they're just very warm, friendly. The weather, of course, the beaches, the food, and it's a place where you can have everything that you want. Yeah. A lot of people come here and are, what's the word? They go right bohemian. They're just like, I'm gonna speak the language. I'm gonna eat nothing but Thai food, and you can do that, and that's very good. But if you're the type of tourist, a traveler who says, you know what, I want a pizza, and you can get that, and you can get anything that you want in a Western world, you can get it here. So it has everything for me.
Yeah, and just talking about food, it's usually cheaper to eat Thai. Eat Western gets a little more expensive, but like you said, there are a lot of great restaurants, a lot of good choices out there for Western food or whatever kind of food that you want.
Yes. Well, you can get Western food, and actually the prices of the Western food is still a lot less than the Western food that you would pay in the Western world.
Yeah, yeah, it's
So, like,
still
I mean,
still
I
cheaper
I
here.
would say, for example, I know in Toronto, if in order for me to go for a breakfast, I'm looking at probably $15 with tax and tip and everything else. Here, it's like $4 or $5.
Yeah,
So um, yeah. So there you go.
yeah. So you also mentioned you love the weather here.
I do.
You're from Toronto. How was
Yes.
the adjustment going from cold Toronto, well, by my standards, cold Toronto
Yeah.
to little steamy Thailand?
Well, I mean, I've been coming back and forth here for many, many years. So for me, it's just an adjustment, and I've been doing it for so long. I haven't even seen snow for probably the last 10 years.
Yeah,
So,
I haven't been here that long. I haven't seen snow, and I don't miss it.
you know,
So speaking of what we miss, what do you miss about Canada?
family. Um, that's probably the biggest thing. I have 3 daughters in Canada, and I have 2 grandchildren, and I do miss them. Now, with technology today, I mean, I'm speaking to them on a daily basis, and and I'm playing. I'm like the grandpa on TV because Aria is about 1.5, and Anthony is, I guess he's about 5 or 6. So I've lost my probably my stardom because he knows that grandpa is in Thailand. But Arya just thinks, oh, there's Grandpa on TV.
he's, he's a TV star.
Yeah.
So leaving family, half leaving work in Canada. What's been the biggest or the hardest adjustment for you living here, other than missing family?
Not much. I've been coming here to Asia for 30 something years. So it's almost like I can't remember what it was like initially. Initially, I would come over here for work and stuff like that. And then I would do these little trips, like golf trips over to into China, um, and different places. So um, I don't know that there was a huge adjustment for me. Um, Again, family is the thing, and being away from them. But in terms of being, I'm very easygoing. I make friends quickly. Um, my business allows me to do that because I just love real estate. I love being of service to other people, helping them to get what they want, and um, it's worked out well.
Yeah, yeah. So if you had to pick one thing you don't like about Thailand, what do you think that would be?
Probably the things you have to jump through with immigration and visas and things like that. I mean, once you get here, you get your driver's license for motorcycle, your driver's license for cars, uh, but the visa, I'm just going through the process now of renewing my business visa and my work permit. So and it's just, yesterday I was at the office because the immigration office had to come over to the office. And in order to get a work permit in Thailand, you have to hire 4 Thais. So we had the immigration office comes over um, to the office and and take photos of the office, me sitting at a desk, you know, my Thai, 4 Thais that are with me, and so it's just a lot of hoops, I guess, that you have to go
Yeah. Now you mentioned, sorry, you mentioned your visa and working. So I'm here on a retirement visa. I'm not allowed to work.
through. No,
So a lot of people, over 50 or 50 and up, you can come on a retirement visa, stay for a year at a time. It's renewable a year each time. Um, yours is a little different. You're on a work a business visa that allows
yes,
you to work. So
yes.
how do you get one of those?
Well, an enormous amount of documentation. Uh, First, you have to get hired, um,
So it's not your business.
No,
You have to be sponsored or hired by another business. I guess you could open your own business and go on a visa that way, but yours in particular is
no, that's right. I had to be hired by a business, and Alex, who is the broker owner of Condo Connection, hired me, and I did have a real estate company in Bangkok in 2007 to 2011, and so, but I mean that was quite some time ago, and some of the rules have changed since then, but I just know that most people will use a lawyer or an agency uh, to do all of the paperwork. So most of the time, you just come in and sign. But I'll tell you, I don't know if the camera you can see it. The papers that you need to sign are so thick. There's like you get writer's cramp signing your names.
Yeah. Now you touched on a topic that usually sparks a lot of hot debate with using an agent for visas. I can imagine with a business visa or something other than a retirement visa, like you said, it comes with a lot more paperwork.
Yeah.
But a lot of folks will dive right in, jump right on that. You don't need an agent to do it. So you certainly can do these things on your own, and it's cheaper monetarily if you do them on your own as opposed to paying an agent to do them for you. But the old saying, at least for me, time is money. And so is convenience. I'd much rather pay an agent to do things for me, at least to start out, right? I used an agent to get my retirement visa, and it was, like you said, super quick. Just sign. They take you where you need to be. They've already got appointments set up for you. You're jumping around lines of queues of waiting, and it just makes it a lot more convenient.
Yes.
So certainly can do it on your own. It's just up to each individual person and their preferences and what they want to do with their time and how much time they want to spend at these different offices. And if you've done it a couple times, I imagine like everything else, it gets to be repetitive and you know what you're doing as long as they don't change the rules,
which they do.
Yeah. So I understand there's a saying, "This is Thailand."
Yes, TIT. This is Thailand.
So rules change frequently depending on who you talk to, I hear.
That's right. That's right. And of course, now we have this new tax system for 2024 and what that's all about.
Oh man,
I'm not going to go into that because I don't know. But,
you are nailing all of the hot topics. First you go with agent, now you're going to jump into the tax laws and the change in interpretation that just rolled out in January. So we're not going to go there, at least not in this one. That's maybe I'll find a lawyer who can speak to that, and that'll be a topic for another podcast or another video. We started down this path talking about I think the question was, something you don't like about Thailand. And for me, I think the one thing I've learned already, and I learned it before I came here, I really don't like the reputation that Thailand has, particularly here in Pattaya where we are, and Bangkok. When you mention those two cities, a lot of people with, I just got to say, a lot of people with a limited knowledge or a very narrow view of the country will automatically jump to, say, a more seedy kind of reputation that these two towns have, and it's wrong. It's a bad reputation. When you look at these cities, when you actually experience them, the things they're talking about occur in really in very small areas of town, right? So if you think about Pattaya, the bar scene, the club scene, the lady scene is really limited to 4, 5, 6 blocks in central Pattaya. Like we don't see that down here in Jomtien where we are. We don't even have lots of bars down on this end.
Well, in Pattaya, and I got to say, I fall into it too in terms of some people say, oh, so you live in Thailand? And I'll say, yes. And they'll say, where do you live? Often I'll say the Eastern Seaboard, or I'll say Jomtien. I don't want to say Pattaya because I don't know. I don't know what's in their mind about it. And but I'm really not there to try to educate people about it. But you're absolutely right. But then again, you know what? There's red light districts almost everywhere, even in North America.
Yeah,
They're
absolutely.
there, and yeah, of course, maybe there's more here uh, than there would be in North America. But you know, if that's what you're into, you'll find it anywhere you go. And if you're not into it, there's lots of other things to do.
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely a whole lot more to see and do um, than what folks with that limited knowledge will talk about. And like you mentioned, you'll see that in any major city, probably almost any decent sized city in the
Oh,
world. You're
Europe.
gonna
I
have
mean,
yeah, you're gonna have
yeah,
bars, you're gonna have red light districts. I mean, you think about I mean, pick a major city in California, pick New York, New Orleans, thinking about the US, right?
yeah.
Um,
London, Scotland,
right?
Australia,
Amsterdam,
Amsterdam. Well, of
right?
course, yeah.
So
Very civilized.
very,
Very
right. Yes.
civilized.
Lots of rules around it. Well, there are actually lots of rules around it here. Like, thinking of alcohol, people think, oh, I'm going to go to Thailand. I'm going to party all the time. Well, you can't buy alcohol between 2 and 5 here.
Yes, that's
So
right.
there
That's
are
right.
lots of rules, and there are what 3 holidays a year where even restaurants, bars just close because you're not
Hmm.
allowed to sell alcohol the whole day. And that takes me back to like in the U.S. we used to have in the 60s and 70s what they called blue laws. So stores couldn't be open on Sundays. You couldn't buy alcohol in grocery stores, that kind of thing. But that's kind of evolved from
Well,
there.
in Ontario, you. Oh no, I think now that you, I think you can now in the grocery stores in Toronto. I believe they changed that recently,
Yeah.
but not never before. You had to go to the, and actually they're controlled by the government, so they had what they call the Liquor Control Board of
Yeah.
Ontario, LBCO, and yeah, so rules there, rules here. Um, but again, if that's what you're into, it's here. And
Yeah.
if you're not, this morning here I am. We're doing this around 10:30 this morning. I just had a great pickleball tournament this morning.
Did you win?
No, I didn't. I didn't. But it's fun. It's a great sport, by the way. And then I go for my bicycle ride in the morning. Um, and so there's lots to do. Recently, what was it? 2 weeks ago, we had uh, the LPGA here
Yeah.
tournament
Yeah.
here.
Women's golf tournament was here.
So if you're into golf, and there's so many golf courses here. I mean, they're just everywhere, and so you know, there's lots to do other than the bars.
Yeah. Yeah. And but like you say, it all depends on what you're into. I don't golf, but I've heard amazing things about the golf courses here. So lots to do, and not just where you are. So one of the things that drew me to Thailand over other places that I considered was one. It's a big country,
Mm.
right? You can like we're 14-hour drive from Chiang Mai. To 12 14 hours to get up there. It's what, another 8 hours if you want to drive to Phuket now, because we're kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
um, but there's lots to see and do. There's a lot to do in Thailand. If you want jungles, you can go to the north. If you want beautiful islands and the really cool beach landscapes, you go south for that.
Hmm.
And to get around here, it's pretty easy. You
It
mentioned
is.
infrastructure before. I mean, they're working on a lot of high-speed train connections.
Yep.
So yeah, if you want, landscape, islands, that kind of stuff. So it's cheap. It's easy to get around. It can be day trips. It could be weekend trips. Have you done a lot of travel around Thailand?
I have. I've been to Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai. I've been to Koh Samui. Koh Phangam's my favorite little island. No cars, just little motorcycles. That's all that's there. Um, Great beaches there. It's my favorite. But um, there are so many places to go. I mean, Phuket. I've been there. Nai Harn is my favorite beach in Phuket. Um, yeah, there's just I've been quite a few places.
Yeah. All right. So y'all jot down those tips and favorite places that he's got if you want to check some places out. I didn't get to go to Nai Harn Beach when I was in Phuket. I loved Krabi and the landscape there, but I only got to spend 2 nights there when I visited. my first or second trip to Thailand. I don't remember which,
Mhm.
but I definitely want to go back. But yeah, being able to get around and see things and do things within the country, super, super easy. But the other nice thing is that we have two major airports in Bangkok, and we have Utapao Airport just down the road, about 40 minutes from us here, which makes getting out to even other countries fairly easy and very, very cheap most of the time too.
Mhm.
Like a lot of times you can find, flights for 40, 50, $100 that'll get you to Bangkok, Hong Kong, out to China, a couple $100 and you're in Australia or over to Bali.
Mhm. Mhm.
Have you done a lot of travel to other countries since you moved here?
China and Hong Kong. Um, those are probably the main. Singapore, excuse me, Singapore. Um, Vietnam. Actually, I was in Vietnam for the last New Year, so went there for a week. Been to Saigon or Ho Chi Minh. Um, yeah, that's been about it. I mean, I'm here. I mean, there's you know, I don't need to go anywhere to be honest.
Yeah, there's plenty just to do and sit at home, and I like to nice, quiet. I can sit on the balcony in the morning, sit by the pool, and just one of the bigger adjustments for me in moving here and in retiring is just learning to slow down and take it easy. Um, so that's been a big adjustment for me because the pattern was, go, 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 get up in the
Hmm.
morning, go to work, come home, get done what you have to do, sometimes work more in the evening, and then, rinse and repeat the next day. Um, so learning to slow down has been, say, difficult, but it's been a big adjustment for me. I think it's actually been easy here because I can just sit on the balcony and look at the water and just oh,
Yeah.
space out. But it's the pace of life here in general. And again, it is what you make of it. But I've found it pleasantly slower or more easygoing.
Hmm. Yes, actually, when you touched on that, it reminds me in 2007 when I opened up a real estate office in Bangkok. I mean, I was younger at the time, and I still had that Toronto pace. And I remember going to an appointment, and I mean, I'm just walking really fast, and there'd be people in my way because they're walking a lot slower. And then I just had to calm down. When in Rome, do as the Romans,
Yeah.
and it is a slower pace. And after you get adjusted to it, now when I go back to Toronto, and if I maybe walking with another friend of mine I'm just slow down.
Yeah. Yeah. You can get used to it quick. So switching topics. Have
Sure.
you had any bad experiences here?
I had one motorcycle accident.
Ooh.
Um,
Now that's one
I,
of the things.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
another thing when people think Thailand or hear Thailand, they think, oh, the driving,
yeah,
the traffic is bad. There are motorcycles everywhere. It's so dangerous. But you've mentioned now you've had a motorcycle accident and you ride a bike. I think I
yeah.
said recently the only thing I think that would be more dangerous than riding a motorcycle here would be riding a bicycle
Well,
because people really, I mean, they're just not looking for the slower moving, thinner bikes, but the motorbikes are everywhere.
they are. They
So
are.
um, tell me about the wreck. Tell me about the motorcycle crash.
Well, I was making a turn. Uh, as you know, the driving is different. So I was making a right hand turn, which meant that I had to cross over a lane. There was an oncoming traffic, and so that traffic went by, and then I proceeded to make my turn. I was in the far right of the center, and so when I went to make the right hand turn, a motorcycle taxi with a young passenger actually passed me on the right. My signal light was on. I don't know what he was thinking.
Mm,
Anyways, we both went down, and I mean, my right side of my leg was injured. Uh, the leg protected the bike, thank goodness, because it was a rental. And And the motorcycle, there was probably a little more damage done to the motorcycle fellow, but I was turning into a place where a restaurant where they knew me well, and so the owner of the restaurant, Thai lady, saw the whole thing, and the motorcycle taxi tried to blame me. Didn't you see me? Didn't you see me? And she came to my aid, and of course now they're arguing in Thai. I don't know what they were
Let them
saying,
argue.
but it ended up. I gave some money to the passenger, the lady that was a young lady, and she had her knee scraped and that. So I gave her some money, but I didn't give anything to the guy because it was his fault. I mean, I was making the turn. He passed me on. This didn't make sense.
Yeah.
But it's so easy to have an accident, even though you're not at fault.
Oh yeah.
So you really need to be watching.
Yeah, it's driving here takes defensive driving to a whole new level because I mean you mentioned you were making a right turn and someone passed you on the right. Um, it's common to have people driving the wrong way.
Yes, on the sidewalk.
People driving on the sidewalks.
Yeah.
I've said in a couple of the YouTube videos that even when you're walking here, uh, you've got to look like every direction before you step off the curb or step onto the sidewalk because there could be a motorbike coming. They can come from even cars. They can come from any direction at any time. I've several times been making a right turn to come down the street here beside the condo, um, and almost been hit another motorcycle or the little food vendor carts, motorbikes with the sidecars coming the wrong way on the road or down the sidewalk because I'm looking left because traffic's coming from the left, and you don't think to look to the right to check for opposite flow traffic. Yeah, but I've learned very quickly you've got to check both ways to check for wrong way drivers here. So driving here is definitely interesting. What about on the bike? Do you have any more trouble when you're riding? Like I see lots of people, especially in the morning, riding in large groups sometimes.
Yeah, and actually, cycling has really taken off in terms of people going on long trips and traveling on bicycles. And but for me, I do about 15 kilometers in the morning. I go out around 6 a.m. The sun is just starting to rise. I have my lights and my reflectors, and there's hardly any traffic. And I drive along Beach Road, so it's just beautiful. It's peaceful. It's one of my favorite times of the day.
Yeah, that's probably a good time to ride. It's cooler. There's not people haven't hit the road yet. They're not a lot of traffic fires up here early in the morning. People don't start moving as early as they do at home. Again, they're not in that rush to get to work or to get things done. So traffic's fairly light here in the mornings. It makes it a little bit nicer. So
evening, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, no, evenings actually, can get really busy. A lot of people going out to eat. It's very, very popular. And one of the things I really like to see here is how people gather on the beaches at night. You'll see large groups of teenage kids, big families, just groups like 10, 15, 20 people coming out, and they'll all bring chairs, they'll sit on the beach, they'll lay out blankets, they'll set up tables, cook dinner on the beach, but that whole culture of togetherness and family, and the beaches are well lit here. Lots of lighting up and down the sidewalks that really cast light way out onto the beaches that they've spent a lot of time widening, so the beaches are very wide, lots of room. But I really like seeing the folks coming out at night. But traffic does get heavier in the evenings as a lot of people are heading to the markets, heading to restaurants, heading to the beach. So it's a lot more congested on the roads here. At least closer to the bigger roads and Beach Road.
They're actually a lot of them are all nighters. I don't know if you noticed that, but at 6 a.m. when I go for my bike ride, that area between Moon, Kachana, and Taipu on that beach early in the morning is just packed with young kids just still
Stayed out all
partying
night.
up all night and that type of stuff. And you don't hear that, I guess.
I don't hear it here, and I'm on the 20th floor here, but I do hear fireworks.
Fireworks.
You get used to it though after a
Yeah.
while, right? But fireworks very popular here, so every night, somebody's shooting bottle rockets or whatever they call them, and you get the whiz and the bang. But after a while, you don't even pay attention to it. I don't hardly notice it anymore. If you were down closer to the road or had the windows open, doors open at night, I'm sure you'd hear it more, but it doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah.
So what's next for you? What are your future plans here with your life in Thailand?
Well, I mean, just doing what I'm doing. I enjoy being semi-retired. I'm not the type of person that likes to just do nothing. And I mean, I have my pickleball, I have bike riding, I have my friends. It's so easy to make friends. So there's a lot of fellowship and eating, going out to dinner. There's lots of activities that are going on the beach and into the city. They have the fireworks, they have the jet skis. There's just so much going on here that I always seem to be active. I like being active. I don't. I'm. I mean, you'll get tourists that come here and they just go to the beach.
Yeah.
And that's what they do. I can't stand the beach to be out there for any length of time.
Just roasting in the sun.
It's just stop. I'm done.
Yeah. Some people love that. I'm
Yeah.
the same way. I love to go sit on the beach or sit by the pool and watch the sunset at night. It really starts to cool off here around 4 o'clock, and right now sun's setting around 6:30. So
The sunsets are just magnificent.
yeah.
And a lot. I used to take so many pictures because the sunset goes down over the water, but depends on the cloud and how they're structured. Sometimes it crosses the sun, and so it always kind of looks different a little bit, right? And my iPhone, I don't know how many photos I have. I don't do anything with them, but great sunsets.
Yeah, and a lot of people gravitate to the beach just to watch the sunset. You start like 4:30, 5 o'clock, and you just see the line of people moving out onto the sand just to watch, and then 6:30 sun's down, and then the dinner starts, and crowd kind of builds in with a different vibe to it. But so you've been here a long time. You plan on staying here?
Nowhere else to go. No, I mean, I've been to a lot of places, but this is the place. It fits for me.
Yeah. So, a lot of folks listening or watching this are considering coming here for vacation, are considering coming here for retirement and to live here long term. So, after all that we've talked about, what final tips would you have? What advice would you give to somebody who's thinking about moving to Thailand?
Well, again, it depends on what age, where you are in your life. I mean, if you're coming to retire, then a lot of people come here and on a 30-day, and then want to get a retirement visa, which is called a Type O. If you get it in your own country, it's an OA, and there's insurance requirements. But if you apply for it here, that insurance requirement is not necessary. However, it's always a good idea to have insurance.
Yeah, but, for a lot of the reasons we talked about with the traffic.
Exactly. But and a lot of people that are under that age, a lot of people will come here on a student visa. Some people come here to work. A lot of what do they call them? Remote workers.
Yeah,
I
very
guess.
popular now.
Nomads, I guess you could
Yeah.
say. And a lot of them like to travel here. So yeah, I don't know what other tips I could give. We talked about whether or not to use a a visa, an agency or not. Certainly,
Yeah.
as they say in Thailand, up to you.
Up to you.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
Up to you. Very good. Yeah, I think the biggest piece of advice I can think of that I would give somebody like, like me, who's just moved here or is planning on just moving here, the one thing, is just relax. Right? Don't feel like you've got to get it all done, and most importantly, don't try and get it done or expect things to work the way that it did at home or where you're leaving. Um, they call it leaving, right? So leave it behind. Best way to adjust to a new place is to, you know, live in that new place and not try and make it the old place that you just left. So if you keep trying to um, keep things the same as where you were, maybe you're not ready to leave.
Mm. I think also is remember that you're a visitor to this country and be respectful.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a topic for another conversation or another video. Foreigners behaving badly. It's you can you can come here and do a lot of things, but again, getting back to that Thailand reputation, that there's the concept or the belief, the perception that you can come here and do anything and get away with it. And that's simply not true. I guarantee you, if you come here on vacation, one of the things you don't want to add to the list of things that you got to see would be the inside of a Thai jail.
No,
So
no.
That's simply not true. Yeah, act like don't act like a school in the summertime, right? Got no class. Act like you got some sense. And like you said, be respectful. Learn a little bit about the culture before you come, and you'll enjoy it more if you try and fit in more. Getting back to like don't try and live the way you used to. Don't try and bring nonsense here, because Thais don't tolerate it.
No, you don't want to stay in the Bangkok hotel.
All right. Well, thanks, Wayne. I appreciate you taking the making the sacrifice
No,
and
happy to
being the
do
guinea
so,
pig
Michael.
on interview number one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I remember meeting you on your YouTube channel, and I think at the time you had like maybe 300 or 400, not many at all, but there was a sincerity that you had about it, and that I was attracted to that, and that was the reason why that I actually reached out to you, and I said I have some ideas that you might want to do some real estate videos, and so that's been it's been fun. It's been
Yeah,
fun.
I'm glad that you did. I really appreciate it. Because you've been a great help to me and to the growth of the channel. But just being able to connect with someone here. You were the first person in Thailand that I met. What,
Do you remember how
first or second morning, I'm sitting on the sidewalk, trying to get I was trying to resolve some problem I was having with my phone. I don't remember if it was like my American SIM wasn't working right, or I know I was sitting outside of a restaurant that had Wi-Fi because my Wi-Fi hadn't been installed at the condo yet. So I'm head down, sitting on the curb, basically texting, typing, whatever, and I hear, "Hey, Michael." Like, what the heck? And I look up, and you're on your bike.
I'm on my bike in the
And
morning? Yes,
yeah,
that's right.
so yeah, I'm really really grateful that you reached out by email, and that then right away saw each other on the street, or you saw me on the street. I certainly didn't see anything but my phone.
No. I reached. I said, "Hey, Michael," and your head goes up. Who knows me?
Yeah, right. Who's calling my name here? I just got here. But sure enough, yep. All right. Well, thanks, and we'll see you in the next one.
All right. Look forward to it.